All right, Maria, thank you so much for the intro and welcome to everyone that is here. Thank you for joining our first commercial convos. This is going to be, this is the first of a web series that focuses on the commercial aspects of Azure, understanding how we can move from whether we are just starting in Azure, whether we're veterans in Azure and have been doing this for longer than I've been around. Azure has not been around that long, guys. Just to say. And of course, to understand from a sales and commercial perspective how we can drive more business in Azure. So if you're here today, let us go back to the beginning. We're going to be focusing on what are the factors or what are the methods that we can use. So we're going to be taking a look at some steps that we can follow to get us from zero to hero, from mid-size to hero, from hero to hero in Azure, understanding designations and the different solution areas, Azure programs, and how it is that MC3 supports you in your Azure journey. So if you're here, you have an inkling of what Azure is, or you want to be, you're already a partner with us, you're probably already a Microsoft partner, and you want to step into the realm of Azure. Whether you've been here working with me before on Azure projects, or you are completely new to this, there are some steps or some ways that I generally advise all of my resellers on how you can position yourself to make the best of your Azure journey. So before we even begin, there are some things that tend to come up, or some issues or some challenges that resellers may face. And it starts from one, just really understanding what Azure is. I cannot tell you the amount of times that inside of the partner network and outside in general, persons really just don't have a great grasp of what the cloud is, what Azure is, how you are able to utilize it in businesses, and not just in IT, but in across all sectors, across all industries. So we'll find that sometimes maybe your team hasn't tapped into this yet, and so you're not technically prepared to meet the demands of your customers when it comes to Azure. Then there is the need for the pre-sale support to kind of foster the deals from the beginning, from the get-go, try to understand, what it is that your customer needs and how it is that Azure can bridge that gap. You're unsure of the services that you can actually provide. So I have a lot of customers come to me, and one of the first things I'm asked is, Adriana, what is it that we can provide to our customers in Azure? And I always kind of spin that back around to say, sure, what do you want to provide in Azure, but what do you already do that you can provide? And let's see how that translates to services in Azure. And then how do we position this? Because sure, we might know how it works or what it is, but our customers don't know that. And if they don't know that, they're not going to buy it, right? And then, of course, when it comes to the pricing structure, sometimes persons are not really aware of how a pay-as-you-go model works, or how the Azure subscription model works, what the pricing is like, and how they can manage that and maneuver that in terms of overall cost savings, trying to understand how to work with a flexible type of pricing structure that's not really set, because as we know, Azure is pay as you go. So what I focus on is what I have dubbed the Magic 6, and it's under 3 different categories. First, you need to prepare. So when I generally have like development sessions with partners, we go through a certain set of exercises where we niche down. We find, when I'm asked, Adriana, what is it that I can provide in Azure? I say, well, what is it that you provide to your customers right now. And if you provide security services or infrastructure services, or maybe you provide application development services, then we can take a look at what those services will translate to in the technology stack of Azure. So find your niche. Azure is broad. Azure is broad. It's all of the areas of IT that we know and love in somebody else's data center, as we love to say, right? So what we want to provide in Azure is not everything, because unless you have a team of 200,000 people, maybe that's a little bit high, but unless you have a huge team and you're providing services across the board in all forms, all areas of IT, chances are you're not going to be able to provide everything. So you want to find what you do best for your customers right now, or an area that you probably want to head into and focus on that area. Then, of course, you have to have the sales side training and the technical training when it comes to Azure, because it's tech. We need to be able to deploy things. We need to be able to manage things for our customers. And so you need to understand what that looks like. Then we position. This is going to be based on your market. Identify the cases and the factors that drive cloud adoption for your specific market, and then we work on marketing the solution for your customers. Then, of course, we go into the perform section. After we get everything done and we have, the sale, or we have the opportunity in the bag, we want to be able to implement this for our customers. So we want to work on the co-selling with MC3 so that, you can get to the point of having everything done. And then, of course, we implement and maintain for our customers. So deep diving into each of these. One, you're going to find your niche and you're going to find your unique value proposition. What is it that Adriana Corp does best? Is it infrastructure? So when I focus on that, I'm going to find an area under infrastructure, 2 to 3 areas under infrastructure. I'm probably going to focus on migrations, or I'm probably going to focus on building probably web applications on Azure, right? And then I'm going to hone in my skills, my team skills on that, focus my area of expertise there. And then, of course, when I'm creating my value proposition, I am differentiating myself in my market. What is it that Adriana Corp is going to be providing, and to whom? So your value proposition is probably going to look like Adriana Corp does migrations and Azure infrastructure projects for the healthcare or the education industry, right? So it focuses you on where you want to go, gets you an idea of how you can streamline yourself to focus on your customers, your customer type, and to provide a certain set of services to that customer type so that you're not burnt out, you're not spread thin, you're not all over the place, and then you want to take Azure and throw it out the door because, we can't work with so much. So you want to niche down, you want to create that value proposition, and you want to have that internally for you as your North Star. And then, of course, you have that when it's like an elevator pitch. One customer said that to me. This is basically like an elevator pitch to your customers. Like, what do you do? How do you do it? Who do you do it for? And so when you're through with that and you have that North Star, you know where you're going to be focusing on, then we hone in on the technical and the commercial training. Now, in the development program, you'll get a tailored path on how you're going to structure this, what your team is going to go through, where they're going to be focusing their energies on, the different certification paths, and so on. And of course, the commercial aspects that we will go through in terms of being able to understand how this is going to be, Azure is going to be an integral part of your customers' environments, how you're going to identify those kind of opportunities, what you're going to look for, what are the telltale signs, and we're going to take a look at that in a bit. So, of course, you need to increase the technical and the commercial skill sets of your team. One of the places that I always start with my customers is that you align with a solutions designation. Now, we may be familiar with designations. I want to see. Maria, can you help me out here? Can everyone raise their hand? Just raise your hand in the chat if you are familiar with designations. Maria, you can like give me like a synopsis of how many people raise their hands. I see Kayla Bogle +1. Nobody else don't raise their hand? And Kayla don't count, you know, guys, because Kayla not supposed to be raising her hand right now. Kayla not supposed to be raising her hand right now.
Excluding MC3. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it. Got it.
We have any more hands raised? I'm not seeing anything here. Maria, give me a count.
I only see Sabrina raising her hand.
All right. So if only Sabrina.
Sorry, folks. I'm on a customer call at the same time, so I missed your question. What was your question?
Oh, we're just asking you who here is familiar with designations. The solution designations.
Suresh supposed to be.
Suresh should definitely be.
Exactly.
Okay, Suresh raised the hand as well.
Okay. All right.
Shyla, you don't count, but
Shyla doesn't count today. All right. So since we're going to take it that not everyone knows about the designations, let's have a little synopsis, right? So before about 2 years now, I don't know if you're all familiar with Gold Partner and Silver Partner legacy certificate. Well, was it a certification? They really called it. They had badges.
It was more like a specialization.
Right. So we know about the gold and the silver partner. Raise your hands. You can raise your hands, guys. Don't be shy. Nobody don't know about gold and silver partners? Okay, Sabrina. Sabrina on a roll today, now, guys. All right. So before they were called like they were a badge, and it was gold, silver. Was there something else with that? Kayla, you can remind me? Gold, silver, and they were specialized under different areas. Platinum, right, thank you. So you were specialized, you were recognized for your expertise in a particular area, whether it be modern work or it be in Azure, right? About 2 years ago, Microsoft changed the structure of that, or the naming of that, as per usual, and they became solutions designations. And what the designations do is align you to a specific area that you can provide services in, and that's where you basically specialize. So when we talk about niching down, we really want to align with one of these areas. So as you can see here, you have the solutions partner for business applications, and this falls under application development building. This can go with Power BI and so on. You have partner solutions for data and AI, and that falls under Azure. You have for digital and app innovation, which also falls under Azure. You also do have the Azure Partner for infrastructure, Azure, of course. Then you have for modern work. Then, of course, you have for modern security, and the solutions partner for Microsoft Cloud is when you have obtained all of these and you're so awesome, and Microsoft is like, you are the cloud expert and you have everything that we need. So there are different areas, so modern work, security, and then you have, of course, the 3 that fall under Azure. So when we talk about niching down and categorizing what you're doing, we focus our energies under the data and AI, the app innovation, and the infrastructure. So when we have these designations, Microsoft then says, okay, we're going to give you a lot of benefits and we're going to do a lot of cool things with you. So really and truly, the designations, one, separate you by, giving that outward confidence to your customers that, hey, Adriana Corp is an infrastructure, has a designation in infrastructure. She's good at infrastructure. Her business does everything around infrastructure, maybe a few things around infrastructure, right? If you need infrastructure projects done, you have to go to Adriana Corp, right? So it encourages your business development. And when you do that, you have bulk credits from Microsoft. So if you need to do POCs or you need to do, or you can have that for internal use, you have bulk credits, you have access to development environments and cloud services, other cloud services. You have co-selling opportunities with Microsoft, so you can expand your footprint, expand your reach. You have go-to-market assets that you can utilize for your marketing journey. You have increased exposure, and of course, as I said, the badges that will say, okay, Adriana Corp is the best at infrastructure projects. So you need to go to Adriana if you have any infrastructure projects that you need to do. Then, of course, you have the personalized support that comes with that. You have technical pre-sales and deployment services. And we have to be a little careful about the deployment services because Microsoft doesn't actually provide deployment. They don't touch your customers' environments, but you have like support for that in terms of the would be more like of a consultative type of service there. And then, of course, you can have assistance for technical support for troubleshooting issues that you have with your customers' deployments. So how to get a designation is that you have different areas that you need to basically hit a target that will give you a certain set of points that align to each designation. Each one of the designations has a different target point, and based on that, we can go through that individually with you based on what you have decided to align with. And for achieving a designation, you have to have a minimum of 70 points across each of the areas, which you see here is performance. So net customer adds that you have in a 12-month period leading up to when you go for your designation. You have skilling targets so that Microsoft knows that you have sense when you're going to do deployments, right? So you've gone through the certifications, your team is certified, and they can take on the deployments that come with the opportunities that you're taking on. And then, of course, you have customer success, which is measured by the usage growth and also the number of deployments that you've done over a 12-month period. So as I've mentioned before, the points will vary in each of these categories based on the different types of designations, but the general concept remains the same across the board, across all of the three areas. You need to hit up to 70 points to acquire your designation. Now, to be frank, there are some companies that may not be able to acquire a designation because of the size, because there are requirements for, say, for skilling that you'll need to hit in order to be able to get points in that area. And maybe if you're a one-man shop, or you're probably not everyone is on the technical side, then it may be a challenge. But when we do development or when I work with you, we still align your path of technical and commercial development to an area in the designation. So even if you can't hit the designation target, you are still aligned and focused in that way so that you can, maximize on how you are operating to, grow your business for Azure. Before we go to positioning, for those who Is there anyone who has a designation, say, for Microsoft 365? Not talking about Azure. Anybody have a designation or a legacy partner status for M365? You can raise your hands now. Oh, I can't see that part, you know. Maria? How are we with the raised hands?
Well, Suraj has the hand raised since the last question, so I'm not sure if this one counts as well. Nope. Okay. So no raised hands.
Okay. All right. So guys, you're missing out on benefits when you don't have your designations. So talk to Shiloh and I'll be talking to you guys about your designations for Azure as well. Talk to Shiloh and Kayla for M365. And of course, you can understand better how you can benefit from these. Any questions on this so far? So
you guys can either unmute or just put the question in the chat as well.
All right, so if we don't have any questions, we're clear like mud. We're going to
actually, I have a question.
Go ahead.
All right. So I wanted to find out, since Azure has so many designations, is there a particular designation that is, like, I would say, the easiest to get or the simplest based on, say, for example, as you mentioned, based on the company size and stuff, you may not have the required, I guess, resources, you know, and so forth. But based on your experience, can you tell the resellers which one would be like the easiest they can achieve?
Okay. I wouldn't really say an easiest, because in terms of actually acquiring the designation, one of the things that will be affected if you're smaller is really the skilling section, right? For each designation, the skilling part requires a minimum of 2 persons to sit the qualifying exam, which will be which when 2 people acquire that exam, then you start earning points in the skilling area. So if you don't have 2 people that are going to be able to sit the exam, chances are you're not going to be able to earn points in that area. Or if you do have like minimum 2 people or 3 people, what you'll tend to find is that even if you do hit that part and you're able to start gaining points in that section, you'll probably only get a small amount of points, because for each person that does an exam, it's about 4 points, and you need about 20 to 40 depending on the designation. So if you have 2 people, you're probably only going to get like 8 points out of 20 in that area. So it may be a little limiting, or you may not get there. So it's not really about the easiest one. It's just about how you're able to
achieve resources,
right? How you're able to exactly utilize your team to be able to get there. So that may be a challenge.
Okay.
Right. But as long as you have 2 people, then you can rack up points there.
Okay.
So it's possible, but it may be a little daunting. But don't worry, that's why you have other areas that you can get points.
And that is why it's also important as well to have these one-on-one sessions with Adriana, so that when it comes on to this section, all our resellers are able to fine-tune and see exactly where they can go to track it and all those things. I'm not sure, Adriana, you mentioned, but it's key to know that, remember, just like in the past, when you had the specializations and then it will help you to get your incentives, one of the major benefits of having your designation is that you will qualify for your incentives once you have your designation. So simple things as like discounts and all those things that your customers usually ask you, or if you want to be competitive in the market, this is where you're going to be competitive. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla. I saw a question in the chat about the cost for obtaining the skills and what the discounts available. All right, so for right now, there are not really discounts available on the skilling because they're basically just the certifications that Microsoft has available, right? The costs for them will vary per country. So I know when I take exams in Jamaica, it's like $100 per exam. I've seen in Trinidad, it's like, I think $125 USD per exam. And I haven't really checked other countries around the Caribbean, but it will fall in that range. As I said, right now, there are not really discounts available. Microsoft used to give out vouchers, but they've, kind of constricted on that for about a year or two now. So there is not that yet, or right now. But for each exam that would be taken by your team, it's about $100 to $125 per exam. Yes, I can do that for you. I'll send you a link. I'll send you guys all a link on the different, well, it's a site that it has the exam costs or so on. You can go there, you can select, you can see what the prices will look like, and you can just, use that to take a look at what your exam prices overall for your team is gonna look like. Any more questions before we step on? All right, so we're crystal clear. Let's go. So now we are at the positioning phase. Now that we've, gathered our skill sets and we decided what designation we're on and where we're going to go full speed ahead, we are going to now work with our niche. Remember that our niche and our customer base or industries that we selected previously. You're going to identify based on your customers' current needs, their challenges, the problems that are going on. Maybe their finance app's not working. Maybe their hardware needs a refresh. Maybe they're running on Windows 2008 server, which is out of support and end of life, and everybody who has some ransomware attack or some cyber attack for your customer is going to be honing in on them. You want to ensure that your customers are safe and they are up to date and they have the required resources to keep operating efficiently. So you're gonna look to your customers, you're gonna find out what are the gaps, what are the issues, and I guarantee probably like 90% of the time there is a solution in Azure that can fix that gap. So you want to align the challenges that they have and the solutions that you have come up with your selected niche. How are you going to provide a service from your area that's going to benefit your customers' bottom line, customers' efficiency, their business overall? How are you going to fix a challenge that they have? And when you've identified these different opportunities for growth and for bridging those gaps, we're gonna start with the marketing. As I mentioned before, if nobody doesn't know about it, nobody's gonna buy it, right? So we want to ensure that, yes, we know about it and we are excited about our tech, but our customers need to know, how is this going to benefit them? How is this going to be good for them? How are they going to be able to integrate this in their environment? And we don't need to get into the technical mumbo jumbo with them, because half of the time they don't care. Probably 90% of the time they don't care. They need to understand, how is it that what you tell me that you're going to give me is going to be good for my business, right? And so we want to just get it out there in the eye of your customers, in the ears of your customers, on the lips of your customers. How is this new solution that you're coming to me with going to be beneficial to my organization? And of course, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I've had customers come to me and say, we have the technology, we know how to use it, we know what to do with it, but we don't know how to position it. And here's where stuff like the Partner Marketing Center will come in. Raise of hands. Who has heard of the Partner Marketing Center? Let's see. Maria, how are the raise hands going?
Okay, so Shiva raised the hand. Yeah. Only one.
Only one?
So far.
All right. So when we're finished with this, we're going to just take a brief look at the Partner Marketing Center because, guys, you need to see this. So the Partner Marketing Center has a whole wealth of assets that you can utilize from email campaigns to social media campaigns, email templates for outreach or general information. It has information for you as the reseller on the different areas and products that you can utilize, and not just in Azure, but for M365 and everything that Microsoft has. It is there in the Partner Marketing Center. So you should take a look at that, right? And then, of course, you also have the you have social media posts, you have, and all of this is customizable, by the way. You have campaigns, ready done campaigns, you have customer facing decks, so you can download these decks and have the conversation with your customer on the different areas of Azure or what the solution is in Azure that you're providing to them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel and you don't have to go create something completely new. You can take from that and you can build on that and you can customize it for your audience, and of course with your branding for your company, so that you can put out more information, put out more materials for your customers to see, and also in the mix get a bit of training for you and your team on the different areas. So we're going to take a look at that when we loop. But Partner Marketing Center is a gold mine, guys. Then, of course, we want to perform. We want to move from getting everyone hooked on Azure and understanding Azure and say, yes, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and we have to get this in our organization, and then move to really selling. So we want to get to working with us at MC3. Adriana Parchment is the person you come to when anything Azure pops up. So if you want to do co-hosted events, we have done a series of those with some of our partners, and we have gathered great results from them, I must say. We have opened opportunities that customers may have not known about. We have had technical training sessions with end customers, and then they have come back and reported that, hey, we need this and this in our organization based on what we went through in our sessions. They have become, a bit more enlightened about the technology. They play with the technology. They see how it can be integrated, and then that gathers the interest. So we want to have, we can have co-hosted partner-led training. So you as the partner take charge. I am there as, the training lead or the commercial salesperson, any role that you need me to play at that point in time. We wear all of the hats, guys. We can do that for our demand generation. We can have one-to-ones with your customers. So if you don't want to have a big event and you have a customer that, they have something that you see there's a gap and you see how Azure can fill that gap, or maybe you don't see it, you can come to me and we can figure it out, right? We go through that process, whether it's one-to-ones, whether it's sessions like this where we're training you, the resellers, or giving you information. And then, of course, with your end customers as well, to bring out what the services are, how they can integrate, what they're good for, how is it going to be beneficial to our customers? That's the bottom line. How is this going to benefit our customers? And then, of course, when we go through that, you have nominations for programs, for deal closing and accelerations. And we're going to take a look at what those are in a bit, a few of them. Pre-sale support for the opportunities. So when we've done our demand generation and then we need to, work on how a solution is going to fit into an organization, or we want to build it up from scratch, or we want the technical expertise to, kind of understand how we're going to, how we're going to create a solution for a customer. Then you call Adriana Parchment and you say, Adriana, we have an opportunity. We need your support on the technical, and we need the technical and the commercial mumbo jumbo to be put to our customers. We want you to be a part of that conversation. I am there, guys, on my eyelash. Anybody know what that means? Jamaicans? On my eyelash? They're on my eyelash. All right. Then, of course, we have, the solution creation and the pricing, getting to understand how, this is going to look for your customer, because we know that a lot of the times when our solution is put to a customer, it comes down to how much does this cost? Even if it, is the bestest thing ever and they need it, if it doesn't cost what they need it to cost, many times it will just get thrown out. So we want to be competitive in that area. We want to understand how we can fit and tailor the solution to fit their environment needs and their costs as much as possible. Then, of course, when we're done and everybody signed off and we are good to go, the implementation will start, whether it is with your team or if you need added support. We do have white labeled technical services. So from our partners, we have a technical team which will act as an extension of your team, and they can do deployments. So in case you probably get an opportunity that is not really in your scope right now, but you don't want to lose it, you can leverage the pre-sale support and the technical implementation support on that end. If you want to know more about that, you give me a call, you send me an email. I'll be happy to go through that. And of course, some of you probably have experienced this working with me before about that technical arm. It's completely, as I said, white labeled. So the partner acts as an extension of you. They don't touch your customers at the end of the deployment or the management phase or whatever the agreement is between you. Your customers remain your customers and you're good to go. So if you have implementations or your customers come to you with something that probably is a little bit outside of your scope and you need the support on that, do not throw away the opportunity. Call me, email me, find me on Teams, find me on LinkedIn, somewhere, and we will get that done for you. Okay? All right, so now we want to go through the Azure programs. There are a set of programs that Microsoft has that is there to support you in getting from your skilling targets to your technical implementations to your deal acquisition, right? So we have virtual training days, very fun. They're basically on demand or sometimes live sessions on different areas of Azure. So when I did my fundamentals, my very, very first Azure anything a couple years ago, I started with virtual training days for my Azure fundamentals. They used to give out vouchers if you completed that training. I'm not sure if they still do that, but if you want to have your team doing the fundamentals or getting the fundamentals training, that is one way to start. I also do fundamentals training here at MC3 for you. So if your team, sales and technical team need to get on the fundamentals training, you call me, you send me an email, you find me on Teams, you find me on LinkedIn. We will go through that with you. Then we have the propensity list. Now, this is something that Microsoft gives to you as resellers. It is a list of different organizations throughout the Caribbean. So you'll get one based on your territory, the country that you're in. And it's not really a contact list because they're not contact information there, but it gives you the organization, the country that they're in, and it gives also the area or the solution area that they might most benefit from. And from there, you find something that aligns with you. You remember your value proposition and your niche, find something that aligns with you. You get those customers, you get those customer contacts. Your partner marketing center will help you with your email templates, your call templates, your outreach information, outreach data, etc. And I can support you with that as well. And you perform your outreach, you get to different customers. So you can extend your customer base if that is something, if that's one of the ways that you're one of the strategies rather that you're going for with customer acquisition. And then of course, the partner marketing center that I have spoken so much about, and I swear by, guys, it's good. I'm gonna show you. Then we have the Azure demo team. So there is a team from Microsoft that has limited amount of demos that you can utilize in your customer conversation. They're generally around infrastructure services. I would have to recheck what the complete listing is, but there's a short list, probably about 10 or so different demos that you can utilize. So if this falls under your area of expertise, then, and you want to, showcase, how the product works or how it, what it does, etc. We can utilize the demo team for that. We also have the Azure Customer Engineer team, and these guys are basically an extension of me in the pre-sales process. So remember, Azure is broad. So if there's something that, or a specialized area that I don't completely fit into, they have different persons on that team that will be able to advise just the way that I do in how the solution works, what you can get from it, how you can utilize it in your customer's environment, give you that kind of technical insight and on the solutions before we tackle that with the customer. Then of course we have the solution assessment team. Anyone here has done a solution assessment before? Raise your hand. Somebody in here must have done a solution assessment. Do we have raised hands, Maria?
Sabrina.
Hey guys, Sabrina doing everything, Sabrina?
Yes, please.
That's Sabrina just now?
Yeah.
Hi, Sabrina.
And also Jerome as well.
Jerome, okay. Jerome and Sabrina. Sabrina, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, all right? Could you just give everyone an idea of what a solution assessment is from your experience with it?
Basically, what I've done in the past is I would break down what the client's requirements were, would base my thing on it, and then I would pass along the opportunity to you guys, and you guys would fix it out to sort.
Okay, all right, thanks. So there's that. And then there's also a team too from Microsoft that does exactly that, break down the customer requirements. And what they'll also do is provide basically a lightweight agent that is put into the customer's environment. It collects the metrics of their server workloads. So when there's supposed to be a migration, and you're doing migration of SQL Server, Windows Server workloads to Azure, they will come in, they will find the metrics of this, they will create a detailed report of the requirements, as Sabrina mentioned, for the customer, what their environment looks like now and what that's going to translate to in Azure, and gives a complete breakdown of pricing over a monthly, 1 year, and I think 3-year period. So you have an outlook of what your spend is going to be like for that extended period of time. And you get a right sizing of your environment for one, and two, you get an understanding of what your total cost of ownership will be over a period of time. So the solution assessment is best used when you're going to be doing a migration for Windows SQL Server workloads. Then we have some of the financial aspects, and this is for deal acceleration. So we have fast track. And this is for deals that are 5K and above. So I'm looking for you guys to bring in those 5K deals and above, right? I'm gonna take it that you all said yes, right? So with the fast track, what you get is about 10% of the credits of the entire year of year ACR, Azure consumption revenue. So you get a percentage of that for as credits to utilize in your environment to, basically start the build of the solution. You have the fast track team, which provides you solution guidance for a year period of the development or the deployment. And of course, then you can utilize those services to give you best practice guidance, solution guidance, and of course to ensure that your customers' environments, when they are being set up now after they've paid you so much money to set up their Azure infrastructure or their applications, etc., that you give them the best service that they are paying for. And of course, you have the Azure credit offer. Now, this is really a closing, it's a closing program. So what Microsoft does in this case is if you have a new subscription, net new subscription, Azure subscription for a customer, you can get about, I think, also 10% of the yearly ACR as for the first month that you can utilize. Well, not just for the first month, you have that available to you to utilize in the customer environment. So if, for example, Adriana Corp has Pixel Corp come to them and say, we have a deal for $2,000, which is going to be like $24,000 for the year. You can get about, guys, tell me if my math is right, $2,400, 10%, right? Yes, we're gonna pretend that that math is right, and it's probably right, right? And you get that credit applied to their subscription so that they can use that for, the initial build out of their environment and for however long that $2,400 will last. So they basically get kind of like a discount or something, and that would be attractive for them, especially when they are then, utilizing the services. They get a little, not really a rebate, but not really a tax break, but I don't want to say a tax break. So you have that available to you as well. Then when we do that, you have all the programs from Microsoft. How do we at MC3 support you? So we've spoken a little bit about some of these things, but let's just take a look at from an MC3 perspective. So one, we spoke about that tailored guide to your team's technical training and getting your designation. So we support you straight through whether you're going for the designation or not. Tailored workshops for your sales team to position Azure for your customers. So this is going to vary based on the different customer, based on the different reseller and their customer base, because not everything's going to be the same. There are going to be some stuff that are tailored. We will go into identifying, the Azure opportunities that may arise from your customers, what their challenges are, and how we are able to maximize on those. And then, of course, we work on the co-selling with MC3. Then the opportunity development, when we have done our co-selling or we have done our marketing and so on, and we got you guys up to speed, we're going to work on then the pre-sales side of things. Before we get to the sale or during the sale, the back and forth with the technical requirements and the commercial requirements and so on. How is this affecting the business? If they don't have the solution in the business, how much money are they losing? Or how is it affecting their efficiency, etc. We do technical solution guidance coordinate the solution assessments for the migrations, etc. We do sizing here for your opportunities, and of course the nomination for the different programs to help you to get your opportunities closed. And then afterwards, we actually have some post-sales support. So if we don't do deployments at MC3, we have our through partner implementation team for that. So that's one of the things that we can provide for post-sale support. So after that, if you have issues with your Azure environment, or your customers having issues with their environment rather, and you need to place support tickets, you can do that. And also we can help to escalate those for you from the support team, which is Oscar and sometimes myself. And then of course, if you're doing migrations for Azure tenants, say from another reseller, you got a customer that wants to move their tenant to be managed by you, or if they are transacting in Microsoft Direct, so they have gone to Azure Portal website and they signed up for it themselves and they didn't go through a partner, but then they want to be managed by you, or you want to manage that environment for them, that can be migrated from the pay-as-you-go to the Microsoft Direct, to the CSP model and be managed by you, your organization, for them. So those are some of the support from the post-sales side that you can get for your Azure clients. So I'm gonna throw out a question. I don't want Sabrina to answer this because Sabrina is showing up everybody today. Or maybe, so you know what, Sabrina, you're included. You're still included. What is the best use case for the solution assessment? Why would you want to use a solution assessment? You can unmute or you can type it in the chat. Maria, can you tell me who's doing?
I don't see anyone doing anything.
Come on, guys. Solution assessments. When is the best time to use a solution assessment?
I'd say with a new customer that's new to the to Azure itself. So if they're looking for, well, if they're unsure what they're looking for, probably would aim them in that direction.
Okay, probably close, but a little bit off. Let's see if somebody else got it. Guys, we didn't have our coffee this morning. I had coffee. Nobody wants to take on this question? You can type it in the chat. All right. So since Sabrina took on this question, we're going to give Sabrina the prize. But the solution assessment is best used when there is need for a migration for your end customer. So if they want to move from Azure, from on-premises to Azure, you need to kind of right size their environment. That would be the best first course of action, to do that right sizing, to get an idea of the pricing, and to see how you can actually save with that as well. So if you found today's session beneficial, you can email me and we will go through the development program. So if you have started Azure, you probably have not, and you're interested and you need to figure out where you're going to start, how we're going to start with your value prop, what's the area that you want to focus on, your skilling, etc. You can send me an email, as you can see here. That is my email address. We will also start the conversation if you want to just probably not ready to start the full development program yet, and you just need to understand probably something that we spoke about today, or you have an opportunity that you have been sitting down on, but you weren't sure how to tackle. We're here to tackle it with you. So send me an email and I will get back to you on that. So I want to thank you guys for joining today's session. We will see you in 2 weeks on April 26th for the next commercial convos, where we will go into how you can identify the opportunities and how you can use the Magic 6 that we found today, that we learned today, to utilize going forward with your opportunities, and of course to drive more business for you. So thank you everyone. Next 2 weeks, please drink your coffee, don't be shy. We're going to give away prizes next time, so you must listen up and answer your questions. And Sabrina will look out for you, okay?
Sure thing. Thank you.
All right. So thank you for your participation today, guys. If you have any questions, queries, please reach out to me via email. I will drop my email on the chat. And please do have yourselves a lovely day. Thanks again, guys.